I became involved in FIRST in a quest to understand what it is about the way kids grow up these days that causes them to make decisions different than I did when I was a kid. And I always knew this stuff was fun. And happily, I had as a college student a mentor in Woody Flowers. So in a way, I'm a beta user of FIRST. So I understood exactly what FIRST was about when I was reintroduced to it about 6 years ago by Woody. He just said, hey, you have to come and check out what we've done with FIRST. So my wife Carol and I took the entire family to the Boston Regional, and we're completely blown away. That fall, my son decided to start a team. I said I would get behind him and rope in some friends to be mentors, at least for the early stages. And I guess what we all didn't realize was, A, the incredible transformative effect on the kids. We knew it would be good. But B, it also has an incredible transformative effect on the mentors. I mean, life-changing. Well, certainly an influential mentor to me is Woody. He's been inspiring kids, I think, since he was a kid in his own way, his own incredible way. And before that, around high school age, I had a mentor, Dick DiBiase, who's the person that was willing to employ me and taught me how to weld and build things with my hands. I knew how to build things out of cardboard, but building things out of metal is quite the experience. Earlier, around age 12, I had a really interesting mentor, though briefly. His name is Major Donaldson. He was on my paper route. I used to mow his lawn. He's an inventor of blinkers on automobiles, the first artificial heart and lung. And so when I met him, he was quite elderly, but still vibrant and engaged. And he helped me build some things too in his spare time on weekends. So I feel fortunate for that. When we got to the Boston Regional after the 6-week build period, during which time we had to not only get a robot together that could compete in the game, rack and roll, but also we had to get a lab set up, and there are a million things to do. So we didn't really pay attention much to other things that happen in FIRST that are important, like awards and recognition and that kind of thing. We just wanted to make sure we could get in the game. And so when the kids passed inspection at the Boston Regional, I said, we're done. We're good. But then the kids went on to do amazing things. And the robot broke down, and they had, they were frustrated, but got through that, and it was, like that, like it always is, throughout the event. And they placed well, came down to the championship that year, which is the more expansive experience, just a wonderful thing. And then the team just started to take on a life of its own. I'd say one of the most gratifying moments for me was at the very end of the first regional that they participated in, the Boston Regional. At 5 p.m. on a Saturday, when all you have left to do is crate up your stuff and it's just work, one of the mentors turned to me, John Miller, and he said, if I could, and I can't, but if I could, this is all I would do for the rest of my life. The reality of the mentors is that they enable you to realize that you can actually do things and solve things and create things. And so with each of them, probably my fondest recollections are that you're working together one-on-one on something, but it's really your creation, your creative activity. That's what I call and now these days, seeing it in the first team, the look what I did effect. And I'll give you an early example. We had a great student member of the founding team of Team Alarm 2079, Jessica LaBelle. And I watched a mentor one Saturday morning help her drill her first hole in a piece of wood. She had never touched a power tool in her life. She's a brilliant kid too, but just had never had the opportunity to try these things. And about 3 hours later, when her dad came by, she looked across the room and said, "Oh, come look what I did." And I just couldn't fathom the depth of excitement that she had for the fact that she had just put a hole in two pieces of 2x4s, connected them with a bolt, and made them swivel. It was just a great thing. One morning when I went out to the lab, which was our garage at the time, to get ready for the kids coming over, and I was getting a small tabletop metal lathe ready to be put into use. And the first kid that showed up was Jess LaBelle. And I said, hey, Jess, why don't you come over here, take a look at this, And she's so modest and quiet that at that time that I wondered for a moment as I was taking her through the steps of how to use this tool, whether I was, actually imposing on her and she didn't want to do this at all, or if she was just intently focused on it. And then I let her free to do what she had to do with this thing, which it took another probably hour or 2 hours. Then about 4 o'clock that afternoon, when the whole team was there and all the mentors, and there's a lot of activity, just in the middle of it all, she just had this outburst, totally uncharacteristic. She said, you know what I love about this? That thing over there, I didn't even know what that was this morning, and now I made all these things, and they work. It was just a great thing. So the other thing I think that's been really rewarding is that every year, it seems, we've got a few kids who are really quiet, and their parents might be concerned that they're a little bit shy and introverted. And when they get in this environment, it doesn't take long for them to be themselves and just open up. And some of these cases are where teachers, and in the school environment, which is much more structured, the kids don't thrive like they do within the team. In the team, there's no barrier of what clique you hang out with or what grade level you are. It's or that you're a geek or you're a jock. It's just, in fact, Jess LaBelle, who thrived in this environment, she's an MVP girls soccer player and basketball player. And one night she was radiating all the excitement about first onto her parents, and her dad said to me the next day, she said something last night that I never thought I'd ever heard her say. She said, this is better than sports. I'm thinking, yeah, that's an accomplishment. We have kids sometimes that pair. We have 2 kids right now that one is really focused, able to focus on issues, problems and tasks, but is not that great with his hands. And his cohort, who's not as focused, but he's really good with his hands. And these 2 kids are almost inseparable. They have a great time because they're always together, and they're such a great pair. Going into Woody's office as a kid, I'm here to tell you, was a bit of an intimidating experience, mainly because he's one of those people in your life, like faculty can be, that walk on water. I mean, they're just incredibly engaging and smart, and they ask very interesting questions that can be fairly penetrating and put you on the spot, and that's what they're good at. His office is like walking into another world because he has all these great objects and bits of inventions and ways to describe things in the physical world by actually showing you something you can put your hands on. And I happened to stop by to see him a couple of months ago, and guess what? He's moving his office. Just one office over, but now he's professor emeritus, and so he's taking a different space. And there I am sitting for maybe the first time in my life, totally at home and comfortable in his office. And I said, Woody, it used to terrify me to come in here. And but I always loved it. It's not even second to parenting in many ways. It's equal in its level of reward and satisfaction. And you can't know what's going to happen until you start. It's just fun. And at these age ranges, all 4 programs, the kids are so engaging and responsive. To me, it's almost like the 5th force in the universe. It's the attractive force of young people to anything, any creative act. And if you just can enable them by exposing them to things, they pick up on it and they just go. And then it's just a matter of sort of offering some guidance and a little of assistance sometimes, depending on the age level and the new challenge that is at hand. But trying tools, building things, figuring problems. One of the best things and most surprising things came to me through the kids in the very first week that the team organized. Now, this was during their holiday break, and we had organized 4 sessions in one of the rooms at the school for 1 to 2 hours per day. We had VEX kits. We taught brainstorming techniques and how to, sort of down select among your wonderful ideas and so many ideas. And for those 4 days, we never succeeded in getting the kids out of there in under 4 hours because they were just unstoppable. We did some really fun exercises with building things and just, open format, just, have some fun and try some things. And it was just, that's when the light bulb went on for me, that this is not just something I'm enthusiastic about and used to be enthusiastic about as a kid, but it's just a natural thing that people can enjoy if they're exposed to it. I'd recommend it highly. Sometimes people say that, it's just too much of a commitment. It's really what you make of it. You can always add some value if it's just a little bit here and there. If you're non-technical, sometimes that's even better because you add a perspective that is just going to enhance their understanding and the richness of it all. The truth is that starting a team is like starting a business. Without any qualification, the kids have to organize and get to everything: recruiting and fundraising, a team identity, radiating that out into the community, gaining mentor involvement on all dimensions, and including business. Establishing a mission and organizing and identifying roles and activities, things you can do during the competitive season, outside the competitive season. So it's just rich with all kinds of opportunities to be helpful. Unlike my own individual experience in my youth, where I had an individual mentor, at any given point, this is better. I mean, it's because you get so many different mentors with differing bases of experience and interests and personal styles, and that's what makes it all happen. The kids learn from everybody. This is a process, and I've been involved directly for about 5 years now, and it took 3 of those years for me to really understand, I think, most fully what's really going on here, and it's an incredibly complete program and experience. And it made me realize that I was exceptionally well equipped for this based on my own education at MIT. And I think that's true of any graduate, whether you're from the business school or from the arts or from the sciences or engineering. It's just a matter of having an awareness of all the possibilities. And, so just being yourselves, I think you bring a different dimension to the experience of our youth that is so rich that it just radiates onto the kids, and they are attracted and benefit from it. That's the easy part. You just need to be yourself. And this is not just true for MIT alums. I think there's some exceptional things there, just because everyone that's gone to MIT at least since 1975 or whatever knows about 270. We get alums attracted to our alum events around K-12 and FIRST just by describing it as 270 on steroids. It's just that's what it is, and with more kids involved and with a bigger movement. But it attracts everyone, and my highest hope for this K-12 program out of MIT is that when we get this model right, and it's not taking long, we're going to do our best to radiate it onto every other university and institution in the country, because the leverage there is huge, and that's the people that we need to motivate to make this thing happen well. It's, actually Dean has a belief that, which I share, that is, if our universities in this country don't own the K-12 problem, then who does? I think the secret of FIRST is that it's been enabled by doing a complete end run around the school system and town government, and it just engages people immediately. Our attachment to the schools is really because that's where the kids are, and so it's not encumbered by anything more than limitations of enough mentors, and the kids bring their friends and involve their parents, and the awareness goes up generally about how fun science and technology is, what a great way that can be to live professionally, and how it can be beneficial to the country at large. When I was an incoming student at MIT, the school had a stated goal of hitting 25% female students, and I think we were at about 18% at the time, and today it's close to 50-50. I think it's certainly around 45 to 55. And as a student, I was touched by a mentor indirectly who was the president of the school at the time, Paul Gray. And I thought there would never be anyone in my life with the stature of Paul Gray as the leader of a university. But currently, Susan Hockfield is president, and I have to say that we are blessed to have this person because she's just an incredible leader. She's a natural leader. She understands science and technology firsthand. And I would encourage everyone to try this out. I actually have looked to Kell Robotics for your work in understanding what it means to attract young women to this activity, and it's very informative. It's different than what it means to attract young men. But I've also seen in our team firsthand that once enabled, I mentioned Jess LaBelle many times. I mean, she's just a powerhouse, and she won't be an engineer. She's going to be a doctor. But I would say get involved. There's a lot of ways to contribute to this and benefit from it and bring what you do and what you learn to your community. It's a lot of fun.